My name is Haru Sitepen Rahekamta. I'm a listener, I'm a learner, I'm an educator. I wear two hats, and they're both my guns, and they're for my African people. The first is I'm a scholar. My PhD is in Africana Studies, and I'm also a healer. I'm a certified nutritional holistic counselor. For 28 years, the Most High and ancestors gave me both of them, and I've been busting my guns for 28 years and doing that, and I'll continue until I become an ancestor. For all individuals who have a big heart, right? We live in a world that I call ICE, right? It's a Western Asian or a European worldview. The nation we live in is very individualistic. It's very competitive, and it's very exploitive. It's ICE. And if you're not careful, you become ICE. Very frigid. Where do we see it most? Well, we are most disenfranchised. This is the reason I live in the hood. Because when I look out, I need to see the frowns on the faces so I can turn them frowns upside down. For me, it's very simple. It's about selflessness. And my definition for selflessness is to give to others without seeking anything in return. The universe will give you that reciprocity back. I look for the frowns. I look for the sisters who got the natural hair. I look for the brothers that look at me and look away, and I get in their face and I give them love and I say, how you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? I love your hair. And I'm very adamant about that because sometimes, as we say, as we hug each other, some people never get to hear that all day when they're dealing with their problems. So that I don't look for anything back in terms of reciprocity because I know the universe will pay me in kind with that. But it's extremely important to be kind. Now, I had to basically get some lumps, some bumps, and some bruises of being the Mr. Nice Guy until my Jegna, one of my Jegna told me, said, listen, there's a fine line between being my aunt and letting somebody run over you. When you walk that toe and you become masterful with it, you'll never have to worry about anything. So I walk that toe. I'm actually in the circus with that now. I don't play it, but I give it a whole lot of love when it comes to that.
Thank you, bro.
We learned here in the lab, mentor, we don't use that word in African. So when you hear Jegna, it's what we call a mentor.
Thank you for that, brother. Thank you for that, brother.
Gentlemen, first of all, I'm excited to be here. I am grateful to be here. There's a quote that I read one time that said, relationships are the keys that unlock the doors blocking your success. And that has been my story. When I say I have gratitude, it's from the brothers that are in this room, specifically the brothers of Let Us Make Man. I'm a country boy from Monroe, Georgia. Population 13,478 people. I know. And look, people don't get out of Monroe, Georgia. If you know Monroe, Georgia, raise your hand. If you ever heard of it. If you heard of it, you my cousin. That's how small it is. But I have seen the world. I have had the opportunity to go to the continent of Africa 10 times. I've been to almost every continent on this world. And it's all because of relationships. Because people genuinely have poured into me because I have been someone that had genuinely served the people, right? So when I think about this topic of gratitude and reciprocity, it's an exciting thing for me because I know the power. When you talk about the law of attraction, when you talk about all those things, you reap what you sow. These are universal principles that are real. They are real, and if we begin to live by them, we can have it. I'm in the process of, I will be publishing my second book next year. I'm excited about it. The title of the book is How to Turn a Handshake to a Paycheck. Okay. And the book, the name said, I know you like that, right? You know what I'm saying? and I named it like that for that, right? Because my young brothers, my peers, we love the money. But the book ain't nothing about money at all. The book is about some of the most valuable handshakes I've ever made. Literally, that handshake is what made that dollar. When you can begin to track every dollar in your account back to the person that connected you to it, that's when you become wealthy. And that's what I'm excited about talking tonight when we talk about being gratitude and reciprocity.
Man, well,
I like this topic, and I'm going to tell you what I believe and what I live by that keeps me out of trouble. Simply put, I reflect on when I was a baby, and from that moment on, everybody been giving to me. Giving. I've been receiving. Since I've been receiving and I've become aware of that, right, then I understand that I owe.
check. Yeah.
I owe. And there's nothing that I bought here myself. I couldn't wipe my right? If mommy hadn't had the gratitude and generosity in her, she would have let me just pile up, you know, and that stuff pile up on you by accident, and it could get hard.
That's right.
But I'm using the graphics because I want you to understand that everything you have and have become came from somebody else. Sitting in chairs that were made by somebody else. You ate some damn food that was made by somebody else. You drove the highway that was made by somebody. How could you not be grateful?
I go out of my way. I've adopted elders in the community,
I say.
I
Right.
say.
and I pour into them because one day I won't be around, and I need somebody to pour into my parents. You see how this is working? I don't expect anything from them. I just go pick them up and we go hang. And of course they drop jewels, and you know, I get the wisdom of the elders. But I'm intentional about serving a demographic that is often forgotten about.
Yes, sir. Man, in the Western.
So I would like to challenge each and every one of us,
Yeah.
go to a nursing home, not just on Thanksgiving, not just on Christmas. Go to a hospital and just chill out for a minute. Right? Just go sit with somebody. Don't cost you nothing.
No cost.
Maybe some bus fare.
Come on
Right?
now. Teach.
So for a spirit of gratitude for me, and I've been in the hospital, right? In that room looking out the window, hoping somebody pull up on me,
Check.
right? And I mean, I've spent extensive time, so I made it a point, let me go back to that same room and see who in there. And just sit. Sometimes just your presence. I ain't got to be something I'm not, and you don't either. Just pull up on them, because I'm telling you, a visit, man, could talk somebody off the roof.
Man, what?
A visit, a kind word. What we just experienced here, this Black Man Lab Love, is people that their own bloodline don't give it to them.
Man, yeah.
That's
Come
right.
on, bro.
Teach.
Teach.
So when we talk about gratitude and reciprocity, I'm not giving so everybody can see, hey, look what I'm doing. Nah. I need somebody to look after my parents when I'm not around, and my unborn when I'm not around. So I'm gonna take care of these youth too.
That's good. That's good.
Right?
Like that.
That was our culture.
I say.
Yeah.
That's not no ancient stuff. That's our culture.
Right now.
That's how I'm 73 years old. That's how I was raised.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I never walked past. If you walk past me, I said something to you. If I walk past your house and you sitting, you know, in the country where I was born in Carolina, you be sitting on the porch on the
Yes, sir.
porch,
Hit
right?
me with one.
And the highways, you know, in between, and the car go by and automatically the hand go
There
up.
you go. Yeah.
You know what I
Still
mean?
talking.
That's how we were raised. This new culture, this new ice that someone just
New
talked
ice.
about.
Yes, Bob.
You know what I mean? Freezing our humanity, even among our young people.
Teach.
You know, doing I'm not sure, Tupac, or a little bit after Tupac, this thing came out of people by being hard.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody hard. Even the little soft dude in the suburbs. He came, you know, he hard. Everybody's hard. That's not us.
No.
And it has affected our relationships with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have to prove something to you. I mean, back when we was growing up, dude look at you, say, hey man, what you looking at me for? Right? And then you say, hey man, ain't nothing. Now you look at a dude now, nigga, what you looking at me for? You got something to say? I was like, something I was saying. Now you done shot me. You know what I mean? But yeah, you explaining our culture. You know what I mean? And this is one of the things that we're trying to get back to, reclaim.
So yeah, to that point, let's talk relationship and talk, you know, what we mean to each other.
Yeah.
So to the panelists, name a role model or an experience in life that has taught you the importance of gratitude, and then how do you reciprocate that either to that person or to someone else? A person or an experience.
I think it's important for everybody to know this linear way of thinking where you just from the top down, from the bottom up, or the top down, that's the only way they exist, right? Like even what Baba Jahab was just saying, there's an oracular way, right? Meaning there's great areas in life that happen. And so one of my role models, right, is one of my younger brothers, right? This guy sitting to the left of me, because some of the experiences that I got early in life just made me hard. I was 4 years old and I was conscious ever since. I can recall memories from being 4 years old. And I made a decision to protect myself from there on out. And part of that decision made me just fuck certain things. This is how I gotta move. My childhood wasn't really a concern of mine. Did I go through it? Of course. I smiled, all of that stuff, but I can see in the pictures where the smile really wasn't as frequent, right? But I remember we used to joke, one of our other brother that's under him, he was having a spelling bee. And I was born in Israel, I was raised there, and then I moved to Atlanta. And my little brother had a test, and it was unequally. But because of my phonetics, I'm like uniquality. So the whole time, like uniquality, he's not spelling it right. So I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. What's going on? Like, why can't you get this word? And so he's like, man, let me see the paper. I'm like, nah, spell a word. So he gets the paper, and they both look at it, and they like unequally. And see, part of my hardness, I wouldn't laugh around them, I wouldn't cry around them. I felt all these things was not what they needed. They needed to just be able to beat me, and if they could beat me, they was gonna be all right in life. And so when they both got the paper, it was one of the first times I was 15 years old that I could just laugh with my brothers because I made a mistake. And so when we talk about this gratitude and reciprocity thing, I think it's important to don't let nobody that's younger than you miss your lessons because they're younger, right? Mm-hmm. You miss the chance to get connected and stay connected. We got these generations, and a lot of us in this room might feel like the generation's been gapped, but you participating in it. When a young man come up, some of the older guys, the more seasoned guys, y'all don't, man, he better come up to me. When you see him struggling, right. When you see him going through the very things that you and your homeboys or just your homeboys couldn't escape, right? And so that's why I said part of the highest form of gratitude for me these days is application, because these guys that are sitting on the panel, with the exception of Dr. Haru, but I'm sure we'll build a relationship after this, I've known these guys for some time. Some of y'all I see frequent spaces, but how many of y'all are applying what we say, what we learn, what we talk about on these Mondays? How many of y'all took this shit back into y'all families? Some of y'all was distraught after Kamala lost. I don't know how you could be a black man in America, you distraught off the fucking presidency, but hey, that's just my personal observation. However, I think it's important for you to understand the need for gratitude, because some people will say, oh, our ancestors died for her to get in with all that stuff. But they did what they had to do, right? And so now it's our time, and part of this collective is so you can build some new ideas on top of it. When we honor our ancestors, we ain't just calling out their names, we calling out what they were. We calling out that their favorite animals was an elephant, or they wore pink, or they wore this. We honoring all of that, right? And so all of that is part of the gratitude application. And if y'all ain't got it, y'all gonna show in here and it's gonna look like you participating, but your arms might be folded. Like, it's simple things that make sure that you just relax and you actually receiving what's going on, because again, the highest form of gratitude is application. And so I just admonish and challenge everybody, when you leave a space today, find somebody younger than you to look up to.
So then the second question, legacy, the gray bears downstream to the young heads. How can we as black men, Dr. Heru, Baba Jihad, Eldris, teach the next generation about the value of gratitude? Ben, we're gonna come back with same thing with you, either one of you four. How can we as black men teach the next generation about the value of gratitude, specific as possible?
Mix both of those questions, and I promise I'll be quick. With the second question you asked is, our brother L said it, perfect example. Application, another word, a synonym for that is be the change and lead by example. Mm-hmm. The best way you can show gratitude or have a person, it being infectious to them, is to emulate it on a day-to-day basis. Even when you think ain't nobody watching you, that's what integrity is. Mm-hmm. To do something when you think ain't nobody watching you, you're doing it. And if you move in that space with gratitude on all the time, people are watching you, and it basically is extremely infectious. I heard Baba Jihad and I heard Jay talk about one of the things I mentioned, why I live where I live. I live in the West End, but one thing I do right around and down the street, I go to Kroger. And I don't go there to shop sometimes. I sit there and I wait for all the elders to come out. And the first thing I do is I make sure I got a smile on my face. And I introduce myself second, and then I say, can I help you? That changes the whole game rather than, excuse me, can I help you with your bags? Because our people are already on guard. So I'm always seeing the elders. And I say, how you doing, ma'am? How's your day? My name is Haru. I'm just in the parking lot. Can I help you with your bag? And they look at me and they stop. Oh, baby, chivalry ain't dead. I said, well, not my grandmama and my auntie wouldn't allow that. There's a book, it's a pamphlet by one of our great scholars, Bunsiki Fukiao. It's called Kindizi, The African Art of Babysitting. And what it tells us is what these two brothers on the end were speaking about. As an African people, when Uncle Jihad or Uncle or Auntie Tammy got sick and they was real old, wasn't no hospital. You put them in. There was an extra room in that house that they stayed there till they transition on. Yep. That is the African art of babysitting, because without the elders, who's teaching the babies? Our brother talked about find you a young one. I went out here when we began to hug each other. What I do? I went in the back and saw all the young brothers sitting down, and I snatched them up and I showed them some love, because they need to understand they're visible. It's an intergenerational transmission of wisdom, and I think that's important. The best way to be able to show gratitude.
I would say a good way for us as the older brothers to kind of instill some of that in the younger brothers would be to make sure we give cultural principles and share that with them, why we do what we do, as opposed to just what we do and when we do it. You know what I'm saying? Because culture plays a big role in our everyday lives in indirect ways that we may not be always cognizant of. So I would say we would start with a cultural basis of why gratitude and reciprocity is so structurally a part of our culture as Afrocentric people.
I'll go to your second question with the person. First of all, man, we gotta value people, man. We gotta realize, man, in this room, the way who have ever seen me when I arrive here early? Anybody ever seen how I move? Like, what I do, I typically shake everybody's hand. I come in and greet, raise your hand if I don't shook your hand or greeted you before. I shake everybody's hand when I come in. Let me tell you why. I look at
that dollar. You try to get that money.
But not even that. The money come. Like, you just be cool enough, you just gonna get it. Like,
I'm joking.
It is what it is. But I'm about to give another money analogy, because I look at relationships. I look at meeting random people like a walking and finding an unscratched lottery ticket. If you found an unscratched lottery ticket on the ground right now, what you gonna do? You're gonna take the time, you're gonna pick it up, and you're gonna scratch below the surface, and it might be a jackpot. That's how I look at people. If I take the time to shake your hand, I scratch below the surface of how you doing, I get to know you, it might be a jackpot. I might win something. So I'm gonna give you a story of a brother who, why he's my number one mentor, Jegna, somebody I look up to, Mr. Larry Griffin. 2010, I dated his daughter. Check this out now. Where are the damn girls at? So, girl dads at. So, I met the girl. She told me a line that I never heard before. I was younger. It was weird. Now I know it's a compliment, but then it sounded weird. She said, "Man, you remind me so much of my daddy." I know that now as a compliment for a young lady to say you remind her dad, especially having a relationship with her dad. But back then I was like, that shit weird. But she kept wanting me to meet him. So I was like, I was brushing it off. So I finally took the time to meet him. When I met him, instantly we snapped. Like, we were like this. To this day, I dated a daughter in 2010. I hung out with him yesterday. I'm still with him. But the reason why he is so important to me, this brother right here completely changed my life. I'm rolling with him every day. And y'all gotta realize, I'm from where? Monroe, Georgia. I know nothing about the city. I'm so country. When I left Monroe, my first apartment was in Lithonia. I thought I was in underground Atlanta. Like, this, I'm just gonna be real with y'all. So I moved up here to the city. His daughter was like the first, and y'all gotta realize I grew up with white folk too. Yeah. Most people don't know this. I do. I grew up with 98% white people. I went to school with Connor. Just be real with y'all. Like, I am a product of Let Us Make Man a Black Man Laugh. This is what it looked like if you sit in the room. That's why being here is important. But back to the story, his daughter was the first sister I'm really dating. She dark skinned, natural hair. This the first, you know what I'm saying? Like this the first one. But Mr. Griffin, I used to roll with him all the time. He didn't listen to the radio. All he listened to was News Talk Radio. On the radio was what? Too Much Truth with who? Derek Bozeman. I remember going to an event. He took me to an event. He walked me up to a man. He said, "Hey, this young brother dating my daughter. He the next leader in this community." That man was Attorney Mowley Davis. That one connection connected me with Mowley. Mowley connected me with Let Us Make Man. Connected me with these two brothers. Completely changed the trajectory of my life. It was the first time where I was able to see what a successful black man looked like that cared about black people. We got a lot of successful black men out here that don't give a damn about us. But it was my first time to see that. It was the first time where I met somebody like Derek Rice, who helped me connect my consciousness and my spirituality. You know, it was the first time where I was just exposed. So when I talk about people like Mr. Griffin, he never gave me a dime. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Griffin ain't like the biggest scholar, but the brother, what he did, he made sure he connected me to the people I need to connect to. And for that, anytime this brother ever called me, I would drop everything I'm
Gratitude.
Gratitude and reciprocity.
How would you like approach going to even spread your joy and kindness and all that people in hospitals? Because like every day, like moving throughout life, people look at me as if like they scared.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it's like you can't make somebody comfortable with you like that. So like, I just want to know what you do to make people comfortable with you. I appreciate your tips about what you said about the Kroger situation. So I'm gonna steal that sauce, put it in my bag. But
So that's a great question. So last night, I worked a concert for Mark Anthony. Okay? So Mark Anthony, he's a Latin
Superstar. What?
Yeah, he is a superstar too.
Yeah, bro.
But Latin, right? So I have the whole Latino community, old and young, out in these streets. And I mean, when I tell you they was out there, they was out there. So what I do is I ride bikes for a living. And I ride these bikes that carry people on the back. I can carry up to 5 people on the back. Well,
He owns a company.
yeah, I do own the company. So I'm 6'4". I look like this. It ain't no shade. I don't hide or eclipse myself. I'm not dumbing myself down. But they was looking at me like they believe all the rap songs. Like, here he comes. This is a rapper. Because of the images, you got to know the propaganda they show in the news, right?
Right.
So I know that these people ain't used to seeing. First of all, they're shorter individuals culturally. So when I pull up, I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna be me. I'm playing Mark Anthony. I actually looked up the lyrics to one of his most famous songs. I'm singing the song, which is dope though. Like the song,
Pulling them in.
Hola, Viva la Vida, Viva la Viva, Veer, something like that. Boy, you listen to that, that boy got something. Nonetheless, so I'm watching their whole culture not really mess with me, and then they just start messing with me. But I didn't do nothing different. Right? I started doing my little salsa with them, like I can move too. But I showed them I'm who I am.
Humanity.
Right? I'm not getting ready to change who I am because y'all show up. And I don't expect for y'all to change who y'all are because I show up. You know what I mean? Don't ever dim your light for some people. You know what I mean? Don't never. Well, and I'm walking in the room like this. Because I believe I have something to give.
That's good.
Right? I have something to offer. You know what I mean? I ain't here to take nothing. I'm not here to take nothing. And people who can't embrace you for who you are, that ain't your tribe anyway. Think of it as a radio station. Everybody ain't tuned in to the same frequency. People on different channels. And it's not for me to prove to you that you're wrong about how you view black people. That's not my job to prove that.
Man, that's deep. Yeah.
It's not my job to prove that.
That's right.
It's my job to show up authentic.
Yep. That's my job. To be
And then once you have an experience with me, then you might have to scratch your head. But I'm gonna be me, be you. That's what
I was smart enough to get in the room with my elders. Like I was always the youngest person in the room. And that's it's something so powerful about being the youngest person in the room because you have the most time to apply all the knowledge in the room. I tell people all the time, if you had a time machine, would you use it? If I gave you access to a time machine, here's the issue. It doesn't go back, it only goes forward. And that's what this room is. Right now, you can ask brothers in the room, who's been married before? Raise your hand. That's a time machine to see what it is to be a black man and married. Who's been divorced before? What it looked like to be a divorce. Like you can go ahead, who got bad credit? If you want to see what it is to have your credit messed up and being a grown man, it's some brothers in here can tell you. What I'm saying is, being the youngest person in the room is like having a time machine. Use it. Apply the knowledge that's in the room. Ask these brothers questions. Literally, Brother Howard, we don't talk like we used to, because you don't like me like we used to, right? We used to talk all the time. Because you know, this brother got a lot of insight. So all I'm saying to all the young people, the best advice I can give you, stay in the room. Sometimes the room boring, sometimes the conversation go over your head, but guess what? Subconsciously it's sticking. You don't even know it. So that's my advice.
Be in their presence. Listening to an elder is like getting a free final exam, all the answers on it. They're telling you. You might not want to hear it. This is nothing new to be young and vibrant and be like, okay, that old person is just talking. That's nothing new under the sun. We all were there. But putting yourself in the space with those that are older than you and listening attentively that's a very African thing. That's very African. What's very Western, very European, is not listening. This is why we have some of the problems we have today, is because you can't tell the young folks nothing. They don't want to hear it, but you got to listen to the elders, because it'll come to a point when you become an older adult, you're going to look for that elder and be like, man, thank you so much for listening to me. So I say listen to your elders.
Sometimes the elders, we got to engage them differently. You know, we just can't expect them to be magnetic to us because we their elders and we're older and I told you to do this. We got to engage in what they're interested in sometime and make them feel comfortable about opening up. Work ethic. You know, if you're doing something around the house, go get them. Like, bring them in. First, you got to give them some love first. You got to give them some comfort and some love and some appreciation and let them know, hey, what you reading? Or what this game about? Man, put that game up, man. That's all you do, be on that game. Get out of that phone. Well, what you want me to do? Because everybody else living life and we around here, this is all we got. So sometimes we got to engage in we got to show interest in what they're interested in sometime. And then we build with that.
Come on with it.
We build through connecting with them and not just telling them.
Come on now.
I'm older than you, I'm your daddy, I'm this, I'm that. No, give them some love, appreciate them, and let them know that you're gonna have to be a man one day, go earn and go do things that you really don't want to do, but you gotta do. You do what you gotta do to do what you want to do. But we gotta engage them differently, man, because they're distracted, social media, peer pressure, the educational system. It's so many different things that make them feel disconnected. And my son, 23, it's a different mentality. So when you start dealing with the younger, it's definitely all the way different. So you got to connect through. He said it through application.
I do think, bro.
And so to the young man who asked, brothers, look me in my eyes, I say to you with all sincerity, love on your mama.
Check.
You understand? Love on your mama. Because everybody who born ever got at least one mama. That's yours. Yes, sir. You have one mama? That's right. You love your mama? So that means when your mama feet hurt, you can help her take her shoes off. You clean your room up. You made up your bed this morning? Let's make your bed up tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's all good. I wasn't perfect either. But I would say, dear brother, as their Jegna, we are all their Jegnas now. Bring them here.
Check.
Because where Hope at? Man, Hope is raised by the community. Come on, Quaylen, brother.
I just know what he was saying and what he was saying. There's room
I mean, I got 7, so there's not 14.
Wow.
I get what he's saying, tradition about feel like get on it. What they talking about, I get it, but how do I pass it on to young people that's surrounding me?
Live it.
Be the example.
Be there.
Emulate what you see in the olders.
I'm a link in this chain. And it won't break here. I'm a link in this chain. And it won't break here. We are links in this chain. And it won't break here.